So here we go. Today you're getting my unvarnished opinion on the Swytch GO, a new e-bike conversion from a company that changed the game in simple conversions. Last time I got to try it out on the Universal Conversion Kit with a totally ridiculous bike, and it was a ton of fun. Today I'm taking a more conventional approach, putting their new system onto a regular old bike. We're going to take a look at the pros, the cons, and the practicality of the new Swytch GO. Double the power, but still half the build time. Let's go. Now, Swytch already makes a really fun kit because it can be installed on most any bicycle, and it's really easy to get on and off. That's going to be a recurring theme here because if you're like me and you have a bunch of bikes hanging around, there's really no end to the fun that you can put together. In my case, I've got it slapped onto a slick trainer bike, making for a really efficient lightweight ride. The GO battery that we have here comes in one physical size with 3 different battery capacity options to choose from. 187 watt hours, 281 watt hours, and finally 378. Now, Swytch estimates that the regular size will see as little as 15 miles on the low end, and the largest battery could see as much as 60 miles of range. Now, even though most range estimates are optimistic, I think the bigger issue is that a converted electric bike has an enormous amount of variables added on top of the regular variables for a range estimate, so your mileage will vary greatly. After you get it put on, the Swytch kit is really easy to use. It's got 5 levels of pedal assist, and for the available markets, like here in the USA, we've got a throttle for instant power. The display is quite minimal, not telling you a whole lot of information, and I personally prefer it that way. The buttons are big enough for simple changing of power output, which at least for my eyes is almost illegible because of the tiny little arrows on the display itself. But honestly, it really doesn't matter because I can feel the difference. And you can feel it kicking in. It doesn't throw you off the bike with a ton of force, and that's really important. The ramp up to power on pedal assist I found to be very stable, and there's a clear reason why. Swytch is rocking a 250 watt front hub motor, which is on the low end of power output, at least in this market. Now, since it is a front wheel motor, it can fit onto almost anything, which is a huge benefit. However, front wheel motor electric bikes aren't exactly popular. My personal qualm with them is that the unexpected jolt of power that gets sent to the wheel sometimes is turning at the same time, and that can be a little intimidating to learn how to figure out. But after you do, it's relatively low and smooth on power output for Swytch, which totally mitigates that concern. Now, I wouldn't want you to think that I just have rose-colored glasses and everything about this kit is so amazing, but it's more so that I want to get across the purpose of what this kit is for, which is a really easy, lightweight, and admittedly low-power electric bike. Those obvious criticisms about the system also have a silver lining to them as well. And that does go for the battery. Let's get to the battery. That's really cool. So this is the GO battery that we're talking about today, and this is the Swytch Air battery. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's go ahead and talk about the differences between these two. The Air battery, which fits on the handlebars, and the GO battery that we're using in this video. The GO battery is designed to mount onto the frame of the bicycle, strapping in with 3 Velcro straps. There's only one connection going into the battery, which highlights one of my favorite things about Swytch. The battery is really easy to remove from the bike. It takes just a couple of seconds on and off. And the big reason I like it so much is actually theft protection. Batteries are the single most expensive component of an electric bike, and they can easily be dismantled and sold. Swytch has an optional locking mechanism to keep the GO battery secured to the frame. Now, this is great coverage for different kinds of customers, but nevertheless, whenever I'm in a mildly sketchy area, I like to take the battery off with me. So by now you're probably comparing this to a typically mounted electric bike conversion battery that does have a locking mechanism, but it's also for a larger battery pack. Now, is this a fair comparison? Well, yeah, of course it is. Now, when looking at the mileage and power output, many typical electric bike batteries have a lot of space for a lot more cells, and they use them. Many typical conversion batteries indeed do carry more capacity, but that extra energy does take a little bit of effort once you take it off and hulk it around in your backpack. Now, with busy hands, it can be kind of tough to remove those batteries, and there is something to be said about carrying just the energy that you need and not a whole lot more, which is usually what I find myself doing. Electric cars, for example, often go about 300 miles or so, at least in today's market, even though the average daily mileage is like 30 for Americans. Now, the small size of the Swytch battery, to me, is an asset because it makes total sense if you live in an urban environment or a place where you trust or don't trust anyone. If you live in Amish country, then you could probably keep this thing strapped onto the bike 24/7. But on the other hand, if you're parking and taking off the battery multiple times a day, then this could be really handy. In fact, these very features I first fell in love with using the Air battery. It was a really goofy machine, but that one mounts on the handlebars, which of course isn't optimal for balance and everything, but the small size and easy removal is my personal favorite feature. It's a small battery that has just what I need. It can easily fit into a fanny pack, even a big pocket if I had to. Now, for a few miles at a time, which is, again, really good for urban environments, it's wonderful. It charges up to 100% in no time flat, and for first-timers, this is an excellent kit that would totally find a place on some other bike once they build up in the future. Honestly, one of the morals of the story is that I'm glad that this kit is around because not everything has to be this big, huge, massive electric bike system that can climb a telephone pole with 3 motors and everything. I mean, that's not what everybody wants because let's face it, electric bike conversions, they can be anything. Here in the States, you can totally build something that's essentially a motorcycle. You could build a scooter, you could build a nonsensical triple motor thing, all the stuff in between. In the case of Swytch, it's an inexpensive, easy to operate, easy to install, small electric bike system that's great for urban survivalist electric cycling. It's really easy to live with and requires virtually no extra training or customer education to use. I'm really excited that products like the Swytch GO are out there, attracting more people into cycling that otherwise would be intimidated by the folks who are, throwing out their bragging rights and their altruistic declarations of power minimums. Don't listen to them. Here's some advice you might not hear elsewhere. The best electric bike is the one that gets you excited to go out. And that's why I make videos on wacky bicycles. I did a conversion with the Swytch kit on a rowing machine bicycle because that got me excited. You can check out that video here, or you can check out Swytch in the description. I'm Mikey for Blue Monkey Bicycles, and I will see you on the later.